about you. Didn't think you were real.
Your guilt's have become your reason.
Hate is useless.
I will come for my great prize.
If you want the Batman, here is something that can help you.
I have a stake in this world, and it's time I started fighting for it.
You've fulfilled your promise.
I spent a lot of time trying to divide us. I need to bring us together and make this right.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Justice League Snyder Cut trailer for the Batman, Darkseid, Martian Manhunter stuff. You also may have seen today, Zack Snyder posted what is basically the entire story breakdown for Justice League 2 and Justice League 3, because there were going to be a couple sequels, 3 movies total. So now we know exactly what was going to happen in all the sequels. So I'll talk a little bit about that during this video too. But there are pages and pages of his story. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I'll be doing a bunch of videos for the Snyder Cut when it releases. It's going to be over 4 hours long, so there's going to be a whole lot to talk about in a couple weeks. But this is meant to be a very Batman-centric Justice League Snyder Cut trailer, with him standing on the gargoyle in a very Frank Miller Batman-inspired scene, with the lightning behind him lighting up the background, and you get a bunch of voiceover from the different characters. Cyborg meeting Batman for the first time, not totally believing that he's real. I believe we heard that line of dialogue in all the early trailers for the theatrical cut years ago, and I think that Batman's answer to that was something like, "I'm real when it's useful." Just talking about the myth of Batman when the events of the movie take place, because Batman had been dormant for so long when the events of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman pick up, with Zod and the Kryptonians attack being his big call to action to come back. Then there's a different scene of him standing on top of that Frank Miller-looking Batman tank looking out over the city skyline at the bat signal, with a bunch more voiceover and dialogue from a bunch of different characters. Starting with Alfred talking about his guilt. A lot of Batman's motivation comes from his guilt. Then Wonder Woman talking to him about hate being useless. And our first official preview of Darkseid's voice in the movie, "I will come for my great prize." It's not clear when that line is happening in the movie, when he's speaking it, if someone else is hearing it in a vision, or if it's being spoken in the flashbacks. There were reports a long time ago about a Cyborg scene where he's interfacing with the Mother Box and sees a vision of Darkseid, like a cosmic Zoom call where the Mother Box connects him to Darkseid briefly. The great prize being all 3 of the Mother Boxes, not just the one Mother Box. The whole thing with those 3 Mother Boxes is that they're unique in that Darkseid can't just replace them by having 3 new ones built, or he would have done it thousands of years ago. There are a lot of conflicting details between the theatrical cut story changes and why that is, but I believe it has something to do with the anti-life equation, and that plays a much bigger role in the Snyder Cut storyline. So it might just be that these 3 Mother Boxes, when they combine, are the key to him unlocking the anti-life equation. Then you have the Martian Manhunter line where he says, "I have a stake in this world, it's time I started fighting for it." You have Jared Leto's Joker laugh from either the Snyder Cut or Suicide Squad. It's kind of hard to tell because it sounds exactly like it's sampled from Suicide Squad, but it could have been re-recorded for Justice League because we know about all the extra Joker scenes. Then Alfred's saying, "You've fulfilled your promise." I believe the promise he's referring to is the promise he made to his parents when he became Batman and put the cape and cowl on. Then the scene from the end of the movie with Superman in his black suit helping Batman up to the top of the ledge where they look out over the battlefield after they defeated Steppenwolf and they're assembling as the Justice League, just waiting for Batman's ship to come pick them up. With Batman's voiceover talking about how he spent a lot of time trying to divide them, but now they have to come together. He's referring to the events of Batman v Superman. Then you hear Lex Luthor's voice saying, "If you want the Batman, here's something that can help you." And here's the thing about Lex Luthor in the Snyder Cut in the Justice League sequels that Zack Snyder had originally planned. Thanks to Twitter user Accidentally Dan, there's a special Justice League Snyder Cut exhibit, and Zack Snyder, totally on purpose, not an accident, posted the entire story breakdown for all the Justice League sequels that details what all the characters are doing and what's going on with the Injustice League and Lex Luthor. So because there's so much story here, I should probably do like a whole separate video about this when I do more Justice League Snyder Cut breakdown videos in a couple weeks. But I'll read this one page that goes over the story outline for Justice League 2, and it says 2A, so obviously this is just part of the story for Justice League 2. And as you can see, it involves a lot of Lex Luthor putting together his own quote-unquote league like we saw at the end of the theatrical cut. So obviously, theatrical cut, very different story, but some of the elements from the Snyder Cut story survived. So I believe this is Zack Snyder's handwriting here on this. It says, although originally pitched as one film, we believe the character arcs of our heroes and villains, along with the epic battle with Darkseid, which unites the League, the world, and the entire DC universe, warrants 2 films. So it sounds like he's trying to argue with the studio when this is happening for why they need multiple films, when the studio was trying to turn it from 3 movies to 2, and then from 2 movies to 1 movie. So I'm guessing that these are literally documents that he gave to the studio executives at Warner Brothers to help convince them to give him more sequels. He then goes on to say, however, this does not mean that you have 2 films centered on Darkseid's invasion. Rather, Justice League 2 would be a very grounded, personal, and character-driven film that would follow the Justice League both together and separately as they mend old wounds on the road to becoming better and stronger heroes. Then get this, while Lex Luthor recruits a league of his own made up of revenge-driven villains introduced in the heroes' solo films. Dr. Maru, during the original Wonder Woman movie, she was Dr. Poison, if that wasn't clear. Leonard Snart, Captain Cold, from the Flash movie, which originally was supposed to come out in 2018. Remember, this document was written back in 2016, 2017, I guess. Orm and Black Manta, introduced in the Aquaman movie, which was also supposed to come out in 2018. And the Riddler, which would have been introduced during Ben Affleck's version of the Batman movie. Funny that the Riddler was such a big character during Ben Affleck's version of the Batman, and he's also the main villain, as far as we know, in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. These villains would link all of the DC films together, like Empire Strikes Back in the last Harry Potter film. Justice League 2 would end with a cliffhanger revealing at the end of the film Lex and his league are connected to Darkseid, then flash forwarding 5 years into the future where Darkseid has taken Earth. So you have Lex Luthor and his Injustice League colluding with Darkseid. They kind of did a version of that storyline during the Justice League Apocalypse War animated film. Then he goes on to describe the heroes' arcs through Justice League 2. With Lois's help, the back-from-the-dead Superman would learn to become Clark Kent again, feeling more human than ever as he and Lois start a family. Wonder Woman would reconnect with the Amazons, her mother, and eventually become their new queen, and basically end the Amazons' practice as isolationist warriors and connect them with the outside world again. Aquaman, with the help of Mera, would bring the 7 kingdoms together, 7 kingdoms of Atlantis. They kind of dealt with that during the Aquaman movie, becoming the one true king, building a new alliance between the oceans and the surface world. The Flash would free himself from the past, releasing his father from prison with Cyborg's help and learning how to master his time travel abilities, literally becoming able to be in 2 places at once. I believe we're going to see him do something like this during the Justice League Snyder Cut, some version of this ability. Cyborg would evolve into the modern-day god of the digital age and into a human once again. And Batman will ultimately sacrifice his life for these unlikely friends and the woman he loves, leaving behind a legacy that will never truly die. The woman that they're referring to, the woman that Batman supposedly loves, there was a report from inside Warner Brothers studio that at one point Zack Snyder wanted to have a Lois Lane romance with Batman while Superman was dead. Like he winds up falling in love with her, but then Superman comes back, so Lois Lane winds up going back to Superman. So you have this weird Superman, Batman, Lois Lane love triangle for just a brief hot second before Batman winds up sacrificing himself. I don't know how palatable fans would have found that aspect of the story, but obviously there's so much other stuff here to unpack. But that's basically how the sequels were meant to leave the characters at the end, before they obviously go off to more sequels in their own solo films. Now, he was just calling these Justice Leagues Part 2 and 2A, so I don't know if there would have been a 2B, maybe that would have been Justice League 3, because this would have been way more than just Justice League 2. You guys can let me know what you think about that storyline. I might talk more about this when I do more breakdown videos for the actual movie, because the way Zack Snyder explains it, his Justice League Snyder Cut, even though he's adding all this stuff in, it's over 4 hours long, it ends on a massive cliffhanger, but he says the studio right now has no interest in making his sequels. There's way more stuff that was revealed, but I will break down more of these sequels' story when I do more videos for this. What'll happen though is because we're only a couple weeks away from the movie coming out, is we'll get a couple more trailers like this, probably centered around the other Justice League heroes. Like we'll get a Superman version of this Batman trailer, we'll get a Wonder Woman version, a Flash version, Cyborg version. The movie is being released on the 18th. I don't know if it's going to be a midnight release or if it's going to be during the middle of the morning, but whenever that comes, I'll do a video that day. And then the next day after that, on Friday, Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 1 is going to be released. So it'll be a really busy week for me for videos to get through all that stuff. It's going to be really exciting. As long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you should see all that stuff when I post it. But if you have any big questions or any big Easter eggs that you spotted in this that I didn't mention in the video, just write them below in the comments. My WandaVision finale video will be next. That'll post Friday morning. There'll be a whole bunch of videos for that this weekend as well. While you wait for everything, click here for all my WandaVision finale predictions, and click here for that brand new Thor 4 Love and Thunder first look video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.